Yes.
Okay.
Hello. Oh, there we go.
There's Oscar.
There's Oscar.
Oscar.
There we go. Ooh. I'm on here now. I'm not sure. Hold on, I got to enable this chat on the side, but everybody, I can hear everybody again. So.
You get the chat up last time.
Let me get one sec. But anyway, okay, cool. I got that going.
Whoa.
Yeah, technology.
How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat?
Pink Floyd.
Right there. Or somebody else is joining. That's why they get kind of squished together.
I think he's
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but they're.
well, don't mess it up.
Only a little bit ago, you could hear people.
I don't know.
Okay, now
Can you?
can everybody hear me?
There we go.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. What's up, Jason? I see you.
Hello.
If anybody doesn't know that guy, his name is Jason G. Francesco. He's the winemaker for Leverage. So hopefully I'll get him here next week and I'll introduce him and I'll co-host with him and I'll have him interview. So I just put him on the spot just now. So now he has to do it.
I would have cleaned myself up if I knew I was going to get introduced.
Sorry about that. All right, so here
I
we
would
go.
put some pants on.
Can you put it back so I can see myself? Very cool. Just so, because I got to be able to show you where I'm at here. So, hey, welcome everybody, and thanks again. Last week's virtual wine tasting 101 class was awesome. We had a great time doing it. There was a lot of questions. I'm going to hope to get to more of those. So my wife actually is going to be moderating the chat for me a little bit, so she can kind of shoot those questions at me a little bit. And we'll spend more time doing that too. I'm going to try to use what we learned last week a little bit this time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm watching your dad.
Some of the wine tasting.
Emilio or
We can hear her, Oscar.
Can everybody still hear me though?
I just got one and guess where I was.
Not
Hey,
now.
can everyone mute themselves?
All right, I'm going to keep going there.
Oscar,
Everybody
you know
can
you
still
can
hear me.
mute
Just
all, right?
anybody nod.
Should we?
Okay,
Should we
perfect.
mute
Okay,
ourselves?
so I'm going to start with that. So we're going to
Yes.
do a little bit of the blending of what we did last week with the old world versus new world wine. So we're going to start with this wine first. This is Herencia Altes from they call it the Estelle. It's a Grenache Syrah Carignan blend, and it is from an area called Terra Alta. Terra Alta sits in the far northeast of Spain, and it borders, it's almost at the border of France, really. It's got a great Mediterranean like influence in that area as well. So this is gonna be an old world wine, and we're gonna taste through, and I'm gonna talk to you guys a little bit about what an old world wine is, and we'll go from there. So I'm still getting like messages and things I'm trying to figure out here, and I apologize. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour that because last week I talked way more than I drank, and that sucks. So I want to continue to talk to my wife's from over here as well, and you guys can follow along at home with that. So like I said, Grenache, Syrah, Carignana, and there's actually two forms of Grenache in this. One is called Peluda, which if you speak Spanish, you understand that means hairy. So it's like a little, the grape actually has this little fur on the on it, so it kind of has that little bit of peach fuzz, if you will. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to go through a little bit of what we did last week. So when I'm swirling my glass, I hope you're swirling yours. you're going to open up the wine doing that. And I do this the entire time that I'm drinking wine. It's not just once before I smell it or whatever. It's just like it's a force of habit. I swirl milk. I swirl water now. Like it's just a thing that you got to continue to do as the anaerobics kind of air out, and you're getting the alcohol kind of swirling around the glass, coating the glass. It's evaporating all those esters. Those are the aromatic compounds that we all smell, and all the beautiful aromas that come out of that. So continue to swirl your wine while we're doing this. And I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about this wine specifically. So I'm going to taste this right now, and I'm going to go right in. So on the nose, like immediately this is, I get like this chalky soil on it, and there's almost like a little bit of balsamic, like strawberry notes to it. Almost like a fresh potting soil as well, which is kind of our kind of organic things that's going on. It has I love it. I think it has some floral aromas as well. So I'm kind of digging that. Now my mouth's already starting to water. And that's kind of the way I get into wine. I geek out probably a little bit more on the aromas than just the flavors. So I'm going to go in on the flavor now. And I'm kind of bubbling it up into my mouth and kind of releasing some of those flavors all throughout my palate. I even switched it around, like almost like I was, doing mouthwash. So I can kind of get it all over my palate, everywhere in the back and the front, and kind of get my whole palate going on in there. And so what I've tasted now is a little bit, I'm definitely confirming all that strawberry note is in there. With that, like kind of on the outside, I'm getting a little bit of limestone. That chalkiness is there, that earthy capability to it. Fantastic wine. This got a Wine Spectator score of 92 points as well. And that's pretty cool. If you're a score guy, there you go. I used to work at High Time Wine Cellars. Big plug for them. I still love them. They're family. And back in the day, I remember people used to come in all the time and be like, oh my God, I saw this wine. I got 92 point scores or whatever. Where is it? And I would ask them, oh yeah, so what, so you like these kinds of wines? And they're looking at me like, I don't know. It just sounded good. And I was like, well, they're not, that somebody gave it a 92 point score doesn't exactly mean it, you're going to like it. And I've had 100 point wines that I didn't really care for and thought they were just fine. But I could appreciate the wine. As a sommelier, you kind of learn to appreciate all kinds of different wines that you may not like, on the regular basis, if you will, but you do appreciate how they're made and how well they're made and where they're coming from, because they really show what we call their terroir off. And the terroir is a big fancy word that kind of encompasses climate, soil, place, the actual vineyard that it comes from, the winemaking, the way it's treated from these people. And so they kind of use that in a kind of a broad term. It means a lot to the French, but outside of that, once you start talking about it in the New World, a lot of winemakers and wineries will use terroir, and I don't know. I think that's a euphemism for dirt. I go, that doesn't. I don't know. Well, the wine's great, but it's, it's not. It's kind of a little earthy. Maybe that's what they meant by it. I don't know. But anyway, so on the palate, this is the more earthy of the two wines that we're trying today, and I think it's wonderful. It's got some great length to it. Again, like we were talking about before, when you're drinking these wines, once that hits you in that back area, or you got that acidity and that mouth-watering sensation, I mean, that's fantastic. That's what you're looking for. You want that wine to continue on your palate. You don't want it to fall flat. If it just goes away, that's a good sign that you're drinking an under, kind of an under par wine, if you will. I never like to badmouth anybody's wines or anything like that. Because I love wine. I love every aspect of it. And the winemaking, the farming, the beautiful things that happen. Eventually here, I'm going to really learn the science part of this, because that's that for whatever reason, just recently tickled me, because I'm going, man, there's real science and like reactions and chemical compounds happening. And maybe I'll ask Jason that next week. We'll go into that with him. But anywho, so I hope you liked that one, and I'll go back and forth with this. So this is made with Syrah, Grenache, and those are the blends, right? So I'm going to try this other wine. I poured myself a lot, so hold on. Off we go. So now I'm going to pour the Beckman. And so Beckman is out of Santa Ynez Valley. That is just east of Lompoc, if you guys have ever gone up to Santa Barbara County. And you'll, like, in between Lompoc and Santa Ynez Valley is the Santa Rita Hills. Santa Rita Hills is, we were talking about Sideways last week. Sideways, all the wines that were kind of in that and the Pinot Noirs that were really shown off in that movie came from that area in Santa Rita Hills. But so just due east of them, it gets warmer. And what I've heard is it gets, every mile that you go in, you get another degree warmer. So as you get warmer and you're in that Santa Ynez Valley area, that's where you're starting to see like Syrah. And you'll see Grenache and Chardonnay still there, but the Syrahs really ripen well. And there's an area called the Ballard Canyon that's over there as well. Beckman is one of the first wines. This is the Beckman Cuvée Le Bec. This is kind of an entry-level blend for them. There's Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre in this. And it's going to be our New World example, right? So as I smell this and smell along with me here, I mean, you almost just get attacked by that raspberry. There's like a black raspberry note. There's definitely some black cherry and some strawberry as well. Little bit of pepper. That pepper's more in the background. That first wine, you tasted that pepper like right away. You smelled it right in the front. This one is just kind of laying low in that background area when you smell it. And I'm not getting a lot of earthy notes to it, but I am getting some great like baking spice notes as well in here. Baking spices, things, cardamom, vanilla, those sorts of things there, not the cracked peppercorn or anything. I don't really get that on the nose, but on the palate, let's go into that. Again, I'm swishing it around. Now I'm tasting the big fruit notes, but in this area, I always pick up like this bacon and grilled meat flavor. It's there. It kind of hits you on this side, which is cool. And now I'm touching my face in front of everybody again, so whatever. But yeah, it touches you kind of in that mid-palate area, and that's where you're kind of picking up those big meaty flavors. But I'm still, like, my mouth is watering right now. Great fruit notes. I love this wine. This is, and I don't know if you guys did pick up the wine. This was like 20-something bucks. Fantastic wine. These wines go great with like lamb and roasts and stews, things like that. Syrah, Grenache, those blends, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about these blends now. And I hope you notice the difference between the two of these, right? So that first one led with a lot of earth. There was a lot of less fruit, let's just say. You saw that mineral, you saw that, like that earthy pot. Like I said, I got the fresh potting soil kind of on that. There was a little bit of oak in the background, a little bit of cedar. Not a lot though. Almost like dried fruit, if you will. But the second one, we got really fresh, ripe fruit. I got that really dark, jammier almost style, but not totally jammy. This isn't, I don't think this is an overly jammy wine. I think we'll get into those some other day and we'll get something like a little bit more plush, but you can see the differences between the two. And those are big clues for the sommelier. When we're doing blind tasting and we're sticking our nose in there, we get a lot of our clues just from that. Right away, that's a #1 marker. When you stick your nose in a wine, you're going, now that's got earthiness, that's got that chalk, that's got mushroom, that's got asphalt, whatever. You smell that on the front, and you don't usually get that with New World wines. New World wines lead with like overtly fruit stuff. You get the cassis, you get the blackberry, you get strawberries, cherries, whatever, and they're really strong that way. The oak will be there, and I think a lot of people mistake oak for woody flavors. Not so much. Oak is more about bringing that vanilla kind of caramel flavors out. If you taste overtly vanilla flavors, it's French oak, right? And if you're tasting more of like this coconut and dill, that's American oak, and that's kind of new too. And that will kind of push out and sometimes overpower wines. So you got to be judicious with it. Our winemakers out there, they're always fighting for that balance of this lush fruit, but then this great body and and these kind of the blending the two, the synergy between fruit and earth. But again, New World wines tend to show off a little bit more earth. The alcohols tend to be higher too. On this one though, which is really respectable, I think, of Beckman, because this one's at 14.2, which is not really that high, especially for these three grapes together in that area. You tend to get more like a little bit more higher alcohols than that. And then this guy actually, so the Spanish one is at 14.5. So there you go. You got higher alcohol in that one than you did before. And that's not always the case, but Spain is starting to produce wines that I think are a little bit more for that American palate. And what I mean by that American palate is that we like our stuff rich and big and bold. And it shows, right? Because a lot of us love those big Napa cabs, and those Cabernets are luscious and fruit forward and wonderful and delicious, right? But there's a big, a wide variety of things that we will all like, and we can all appreciate it at a different time. A master sommelier once said, all roads lead to Pinot Noir. And back in the day, I didn't like Pinot Noir at all. I thought it was watery and thin. I was more of a cab guy, and I just didn't see what she was talking about. Later on down the road, fast forward to today even, Pinot Noir is like one of my favorite, if not my go-to, it's my go-to now, Pinot Noir. I love it. It's light, it's elegant, it's graceful. There's so much going on the nose. Again, I'm telling you, I'm a big aromatic guy. I love all those scents and floral notes popping out of the glass. But I didn't understand what she meant by that. And now I do. It's the ability to run into the things that you didn't see in advance. Wow, this thing is trying to tell me I only got 10 minutes left. Okay, wow. I'm paying for this service now. Next week, we're not going to get cut off in 40 minutes. This is going to go a little longer, and I'll get more of the questions in. So having said that, these grapes and these GSM blends, what is a GSM? GSM is just an acronym for Grenache, Syrah, and Mervet. And we see these combinations of grapes. They originated, time out, let me rewind. They're probably made most popular by the French in the Rhone Valley, like Chateauneuf-du-Pape, Crozes, Hermitage, and those grape varietals. They are somebody's messing with my screen now. I don't know what's going on. But they are the areas that made them the most famous, these grapes together. But in reality, Spain, they originated there and in the northeast of Spain. So you're getting more of that dark, that bigger kind of bolder style of fruit from. It's a little warmer in that area in Spain. But anyway, so back to what I was saying about the GSM blends. So we've used them in the new world, if you will. We started using this acronym GSM for people, and it just made it easier because these grapes like to play with each other. They complement each other. They have a lot of the things that build up the one side of the other. So I wish Jason was actually here for this speech because he knows all about it. He's over in Paso, and he makes these blends. He makes some of the best blends out there too. He gets super high scores. But now I'm being pressed for time, so I'm going, okay, great. I got to kind of wrap this up in some way. But yeah, anyway, so that's the two styles. You saw Spain. You saw the Santa Ynez Valley and Santa Barbara County, how they kind of emulate each other. They have a lot of the same flavor profiles, but there's like this balance between the two that's like flipped. You get more of that earthiness on the Spain, and you get a little bit more fruit on that American version. So, but again, not high alcohol there, so pretty decent. Anyway, that first one got a 92-point score. I think the last one got 91 in Wine Enthusiast as well. So pretty well rated wines, I would say. And now I'm gonna get some of these questions now because I'm losing it here. I'd rather talk to you guys. Gary out there wants to know what food goes well with these wines. I kind of touched on that already. I was talking about like stews and like lamb goes really good with this. That gamier like meat goes with this. Good roasts go with this. They're really a very versatile type of wine. The spice notes and the fruit and the body kind of lend itself to a little bit more of that lighter fare. So poultries go really well with that as well. Off the top of my head, like duck confit, fantastic. That's what you want to do with this kind of wine. I always do it with my lamb at home. That's one of my favorite pairings with a lot of these types of wine. And then, okay, so I'm gonna look at other things. Oh, so David asked, want to know what the percentage, how do the percentages of these grapes vary in the taste? That's a good question I think for Jason as well. The reason I don't really, because I don't blend wine, right? I don't make actually wine, but I notice the blends. For me, I get a lot of like, if like on these blends, if their Syrah is a little heavier, you might see a little bit more of that pepper note and those big blue fruits coming out. But when they're Grenache based, you get more of this kind of rich raspberry and strawberry note happening, and maybe a little less of the pepper notes. So all three of these grapes kind of have their own profile, and together they're one wine. So it really depends on the winemaker when they want to blend different. If in one year one grape shows off a little bit better, or they're really trying to stick to their style, they'll kind of vary. That's kind of how they're doing it. Let's go down. Can you scroll a little bit? That's all. Is that you have any other observations? Anybody got any other questions out there for me? I'm looking at. Oh, Jesus. Gouda. If you've ever had there's this one, I think it's called Coco Gouda or something like that. That one's fantastic. I used to pick that up at the butchery. They always have it, but there's a truffle Gouda there that is fantastic that will go with these wines for sure. Manchego is one of those generically always good cheeses with red wines. It's just fantastic for that. They have you could probably even use Media Zabala as well. More aged cheeses, if you will, like those dried ones that aren't so, they don't have a lot of moisture. You can use like Parmigiano Reggiano, those types of cheeses. Yeah, so they're not like super moist styles, if you will. Like you want to stay away from like brie and that sort of thing. So, what else? Morgan and Andrew want to know if I recommend you finishing both bottles. Yeah, I do, big time. I'm going to. Shelly's going to help. And so I guess that's easier for me if you're single out there and you're quarantined all by yourself. Drink them all. I would. Just, brush your teeth before you go to bed. Otherwise, your mouth's going to be all nasty in the morning. Does the actually have Mourvedre? Which one? The Altesse? The Altesse does not have Mourvedre in it. No, it doesn't. So in the Rhone Valley, they can use up to 18 different grapes in their blends, right? But they don't use them. And a lot of places don't even use but 3 and 4 at the most. But they're still kind of in that generic GSM term for us. I know we in the US like to be super technical. No, GSM means this, but then GSM plus this, whatever. Man, I just throw the GSM blend out there because those are usually the dominant grapes in this wine, and it kind of, it just easy encompasses it all. Do you have any favorite Pinot Noir from Santa Ynez? Not Santa Ynez, no. I'm more of the Santa Rita Hills guy. So right adjacent to it, one of the areas that's really known for Pinot Noir over there. And I gotta say, one of my absolute darn favoriteest Pinot Noirs is from Brewer Clifton. Their wines are just gorgeous. I know they're weird though. They have like a giant line of different single vineyards, and it might be hard for a lot of people, the consumer, to understand the differences between those. So different vineyards give off these different, they're special in their own way, right? And you want to bottle that specialness. So that's what a single vineyard is all about. And Brewer Clifton does a lot of single vineyard wines in Santa Rita Hills area. And I just love their winemaker, Greg Brewer, fantastic guy. He makes sushi wine. It's crazy. His wines are exacting and they're pure and they come straight at you and they're laser beams. Just kind of like the freshness of sushi that is just this dimension of richness that comes out of a piece of meat that's not cooked in any way, nothing added to it. So he kind of does that with his wine. So I really like the Greg Brewer over there, Brewer Clifton wines. One of my absolute favorite Pinot Noirs. But if you're into collecting, Sea Smoke is one of the best ones out there too. The Hilt the Hilt makes some pretty fantastic Pinot Noir in that area as well. And I always like my friends over at Melville. Chad Melville just took over winemaking for Greg Brewer. Greg Brewer was the former winemaker at Melville, but now Chad's taken over. Chad Melville, son to Don Melville. So, all right, anything else? Yeah, so my wife wanted me to open this whole thing with, hey, all you cool cats and kittens, my name is Oscar Exotic. And I said, no, I wasn't going to do that. So, and
Good.
You guys already watched Tiger King online. I did. That movie is absolutely bonkers. Or the show, documentary is absolutely bonkers. I can't believe how make you get a head slap every episode more than once. It's crazy. That's unbelievable. Sam Russell says she already finished her bottles. Oh, no way. She's finishing them up. Fantastic, Sam. Tell John that I love him and stay good out there. Tiger Claw from Haley. Woo! Anyway, so I hope you're enjoying all of these. And God, I want to answer way more questions than these. I'm going to cut off Instagram Live. Bye, everybody on Instagram. Oh, there we go.
Thank you, Oscar.
What else can I talk about with these guys? So, yeah. Did anybody not like the wines?